2, 1, start. This public interest litigation has raised an issue with regard to the lack of educational facilities for the visually impaired children. Stop. As per the status report filed by the respondents, the state government is running a single school for the blind with the capacity of only 25 children in the entire state. Stop. We have no manner of doubt that the above position discloses a disregard to the plight of the children who are visually impaired. Stop. It cannot be lost sight of the fact that the visual impairment is just one of the disabilities which has been recognized by the legislature. Stop. Act gives recognition to several disabilities including hearing and speech impairment, locomotor disability, etc. Stop. Additionally, there are persons with mental difficulties as well. Stop. It would appear that we have not even begun to examine the needs and difficulties of persons with such impairments. Stop. Even with regard to visual impairment, the facts reveal that 4.52% population of the entire nation is suffering from various disabilities. Stop. This issue deserves to be examined on critical basis and action has to be taken expeditiously. Stop. The one critical aspect of the matter is to have a proper census of persons with disability, and a kind of disability audit should also be conducted by having regard to all the measures undertaken with regard to public buildings. Stop. This deficiency in the facilities for education for the differently abled persons would also be rendering difficulty in employment reservation made to ensure employment opportunities to these persons. Stop. In view of the position brought on record with regard to the visual impairment and the fact that the matter is being taken up in a public interest litigation, we expand the scope of our consideration to all disabilities and shall consider the steps taken by the respondents to ensure equality, dignity, and necessary facilities to all disabilities. Stop. The respondents shall also place before this court an action plan with regard to undertaking disability audits of public buildings, which would include hospitals, bus stands, transport system, railway stations, airports, all buildings of central government and state governments, pavements, parks, etc. Stop. Divyang Jans are the part of our society. Stop. Judicial notice can also be taken of the fact that the central government is also providing several funds and has several schemes in place with regard to disabled persons. Stop. We therefore direct implement of the central government through Secretary to Government, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Shastri Bhavan, New Delhi, as respondent number 5. Stop. Notice to be issued shall indicate that this respondent shall file a status report regarding grants and measures by central government for the disabled as well as the schemes which are operational for the benefit of disabled, that is differently abled persons. Stop. The newly added respondent shall also inform this court about the guidelines and policy framework which has been framed for implementation to ensure equality and dignity to the disabled persons. Stop. From the aforesaid observations of this court, we are confident that the visually impaired candidate would be entitled to sit and write the examination for selection for the post of probationary officer, but only restriction that would be standing in the way of the writ petitioner for selection is that the nature of duties attached to the office or post would be unsuitable for the visually impaired candidate. Stop. Accordingly, we are of the view that the order passed by the authorities rejecting the application of the writ petitioner on the ground shown in the order was erroneous, illegal, and invalid in law, and therefore it cannot be sustained. Stop. In any view of the matter, so far as prayer for permitting the writ petitioner to sit and write the examination is concerned, the writ petition has now become infructuous, as it is now an admitted position that the examination for selection in the post of probationary officer was held and result was subsequently published, and the vacancies were duly filled in by making appointments on the basis of such selection of candidates. Stop. In view of the other reliefs prayed by the writ petitioner in the amended writ petition, the question now needs to be decided is whether the writ petitioner would be allowed to sit and write the forthcoming examination for the post of probationary officer and can be appointed in such post by keeping in view the nature of duties attached to a probationary officer. Stop. She is a visually impaired lady. Stop. As found herein earlier, it cannot be doubted that a visually impaired candidate is entitled to sit and write the examination being conducted for the post of probationary officer along with other normal candidates where any post is not earmarked for handicapped persons. Stop. In our view, and in view of the discussions made herein earlier, as well as in the facts and circumstances of this case, Article 14 was infringed for denial of permission to the petitioner to sit and write the examination for selection of probationary officer. Stop. As noted herein earlier, writ petitioner was not allowed to sit for the competitive examination on the ground that she was visually impaired candidate, although the advertisement in the newspaper did not disclose that a visually impaired candidate cannot be allowed to sit and write the examination as the nature and duty of the job were not suitable for the visually impaired candidate. Stop. Statement has been made in the writ petition by the writ petitioner to the effect that the writ petitioner can perfectly perform the job of a probationary officer. Stop. Thus, there is discrimination by the respondent number 2 between the writ petitioner and persons who are in similar circumstances or conditions. Stop. Here, the writ petitioner was not allowed to sit for the entrance examination, and hence she was discriminated against the others who qualified for the same entrance examination. Stop. In this connection, it is stated by the writ petitioner that a visually impaired lady is now functioning as a probationary officer in Central Bank of India, and her name is Mrs. Nafisa. Stop. Under Article 16 of the Constitution, the general rule laid down is that there should be equal opportunity for citizens in matters relating to employment or appointment to any office under the state. Stop. Finally, the written submission was filed on behalf of the Union of India, in which it has been stated that any discrepancies observed in the list will be rectified during the review of the list proposed to be done shortly, and proposal is under active consideration. Stop. It was further stated that being a visually impaired candidate, the writ petitioner has to either appear in the examination for selection under the reserved category, or she can appear with other candidates. Stop. The vacancies reserved for any category need to be filled by persons belonging to that category, and such vacancies are not open to others. Stop. On the other hand, unreserved vacancies are open to all, and reserved category candidates cannot be denied the right to compete for appointment against such vacancies provided they are eligible. Stop. It is needless to say that the Union of India and the bank authorities have therefore admitted that the nature of duties of a probationary officer can be performed by a visually impaired candidate, and some percentage of impaired candidates are entitled for being selected and appointed as probationary officers. Stop. वगैरह सब मिला के 1